$300 well worth it. So much of that is already instilled in everything.
Oh, I think so. Unless somebody decides to wonders. Mike was wondering about Rico County. And they were looking for them for.
You doing, sir?
Well, it goes to the reason, at first I had to get my bill, but the staff they're not, they were supposed to.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Waukesha Town Board Meeting, July 14th, 2016, beginning at 8:05 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with the roll call.
Supervisor Gary?
Here.
Supervisor Fisher?
Here.
Chairman Merrick?
Present.
Supervisor Radke?
Here.
Supervisor Wolf?
Here. And Madam Clerk, have we met the open meetings law?
Yes, we have.
And we can begin with citizens' comments. Going once, going twice, and we can move on. Approval of the minutes for June 9, 2016.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes for June 9th, 2016.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the minutes of June 23rd, 2016.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from June 23rd, 2016.
In a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 6 reports, beginning with the fire department. Chief Buchholz?
Oh, this report's for June. Like July. No, this is the June summary. I'm sorry. 33 ambulance requests and 8 vehicle accidents, 7 fire responses in the month of June. Mutual aid was given 9 times. We received mutual aid 3 times. 1 member of the department left in June. We're at 34 active members, 5 members on leave of absence, 1 secretary treasurer, and 2 high school cadets. That's changing relatively quickly because at the end of June, we accepted, and that'll show up in the July report, but we accepted 1 cadet on as an active member, and 1 cadet joined the military and is leaving the country. So our cadets will shake out a little differently. We have some new members coming on in July too, so that's going to change relatively soon. The new tender's been ordered. We're working on consolidating some equipment on one of the smaller tenders so that 1693, the oldest tender, which needs tires drastically bad, can be decommissioned rather than invest money in repairs of the truck. Fire inspections for the first period of 2016 have been completed. 145 inspections were done. 27 re-inspections were done. There were a total of 57 violations and no citations issued. Most of those violations were corrected immediately on site before the inspector left. So the most popular violation, again, is exit signs and extinguisher maintenance.
Any questions for the chief?
What was the decommission plan?
We're kind of working on that. I'm hoping to have that truck probably out of service by the end of August.
And that was 93?
93.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. And we can move on to the sheriff. Good evening. A new face.
Yeah, so I'm Deputy Simmons. I split time. I'm assigned here with Deputy Moose. So when she's not on, I'll be here. Sheriff's Department received 89 calls for service in the month of June. 15 alarms, 24 house checks, 28 citations were issued, 4 well-being checks, 4 traffic accidents. 4 loud noises mostly come from Manuka Park. Is there anything else you need?
Questions for the deputy? Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. And on to DPW, Supervisor Durr.
Just what you see in your packet provided by Jerry.
Okay, thank you. And Clerk Treasurer?
The Big Bend Joint Court, we had, in June, we had 53 initial citations, 21 defaults, 11 pretrials, 2 trial stips, 1 motion to reopen, and an adjournment. Public records, I had a public record from Gerald DeLappa requesting noncompliance records for properties on Anoka. The request is complete. North American Procurement Council requested information concerning the award on slag and crack fill contracts, including the bidder address and telephone number. Request is complete. Angie Van Sock requests for fire department calls and types of calls, which should include the call time, dispatch time, en route time, vehicle number, as well as the travel time and the time with the patient. Chief Buchholz completed that request. We have 15 properties on non-compliant list. 5 are in court. 3 are on their first 30 days. 1's waiting ordinance change. 1 we cannot locate the homeowner to serve a citation. 2 currently on extension, and 3 new complaints. The weed commissioner sent out 8 certified letters last month, and all 8 property owners cut their grass. For the treasurer's report, the capital budget, our revenue is at 96.17 of the budget, and the expenses are at 41.36%. The only big expense is in June was for the fire department tender. In general funds, our revenue is at 70% at budget, and our expenses are 64. We will be renting 2 additional voting machines for the November election at a cost of $2,300. And Gordon Flesh has loaned us 4 laptops to help with registration at the next upcoming elections. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for the clerk?
Could you send out a updated non-compliance report?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then we can move on to a violation update. This is for a long-standing non-compliant list. And I'll leave that in Attorney Macy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, we had this matter in a closed session. We asked whether we needed to go back to closed session. The chairman indicated no, we would make this report an open session. You had indicated that, like many of the citations, once the property is brought into compliance, upon payment, full payment of the outstanding or the incurred professional charges, as well as a dollar amount that you determined, the matter could be resolved. The chairman was directed to take that to the property owner. The property owner has refused to settle the matter. Now, the thing that's different with this one is all of the work that was done to date was to locate the property owner and to get the property into compliance. We are not in court. So the policy decision is tonight. The standing direction that I was given was to take the matter to court and, issue the citations or start a long form summons and complaint, which will incur additional expenses, or bring the matter back to probably a month from now or the next meeting that I'm at for a closed session to further review what we want to do in this regard. So that's the status. We're just looking for direction as to whether to proceed. We have direction to proceed. I just didn't feel comfortable in that we're not in court. The other matter was in court. There's pending citations, that's what we have 99% of the time. Probably every other time we've had one of these situations, we've been in court, we've gone to closed session, you've given me my direction, and we've been able to resolve it. Either through finishing the court proceedings and getting the court to impose a penalty, or a stipulation from the property. This one's different.
I think just to clarify though, we did, when we met last on this issue, we did give clear direction.
I'm authorized
Okay.
to go to court.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you knew we weren't in court yet.
And the difference is that we're not in court.
Right, so we have all of the costs of either issuing the citations or bringing along from summons and complaint, and getting us into court and relocating this gentleman. You all had memos on this at the closed session, so I'm not gonna reiterate how difficult he was an out-of-state owner. He had tenants, he's now sold the property. There's a lengthy history here. But we have some compliance, but we still want to treat them the same as everybody else. But before I spent the money to go to court, I said, well, maybe we want to get together one more time and chat about it. That's why I'm here.
Are you asking for additional direction right now?
Yes, and the options are proceed as directed or hold off and we'll hold another closed session and talk. You don't have to make a motion, we'll just take a consensus of the people because this is under the courts. I'm just looking for direction. If one of you says, I want to talk about it some more, I think the rest of you would say, fine. If I don't hear that, I'm going to proceed. Does that make sense? Is that fair enough?
Sure. I would say proceed on my behalf. I don't see any reason to rehash it again.
I think our obligation is to make the taxpayer whole and recover the funds that have been spent up to date and going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I just ask a real quick one under violation update? Just kind of reminder to Kathy, and I guess I would ask that she even put this on the agenda, looking back at the minutes of June 23rd. We asked specifically in the motion for a progress report to the board at the July 28th meeting by Darlene Riva. I'm wondering, just as a reminder to us, if you'd specifically put that on the agenda, please.
I do have it on the agenda for the 28th.
On to 7 recommendations from the Plan Commission. First one is a rezone for Fred Lathers LLC, 789 North Water Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202. Location is part of the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 29, part of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 32, Town 6 North, Range 19 East, Town of Waukesha. More specifically, the properties are located on the west side of County Highway I and south of Foxvale Court. Tax key is WAKT 1411.996.001 and part of 1421.998.004. The recommendation from the Plan Commission was to approve the rezone.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to accept the recommendation of the town board to rezone with the conditions that they included with their recommendation.
And a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion?
And just so it's right, you said down below. I'm sorry. I mean, we all knew what you meant.
Thank you.
I know you wrote plan commission. We probably all thought plan commission as he said town board.
We were just a little more gentle and didn't want to point it out.
Well, I know, that's my job, but, you know.
I do have just a question or two for the planner. What is the difference between what your report was on July 6th and the one that came out today, if you would?
What Attorney Macy had asked me to do is that because the agenda had the Lathers development broke out into 3 separate agenda items, he asked that my staff report mimic the agenda. My original staff report on July 6th had it all encompassing
Okay.
this one approval.
Thank you. And then also, and I think I started to get my head around this a little bit during the public hearing, but what caught my attention was the comment of there will be 2 splits remaining for the first 5 years, and any additional splits within 5 years would require a plat. Could you help me understand what that all means?
Yes, per state statute and also the town of Waukesha land division ordinance, is that anytime you create 5 or more splits in a 5-year period, it requires a plat, you to do a subdivision plat. So right now, on the west side of River Road, they're doing 3 land divisions, 2 lots and an outlot. Someone theoretically could come, once they sell those, and try to redivide lot 1 or lot 2. They can do that. But what we need to do is that staff needs to keep a record as to how many successive divisions happen on either the west side or the east side within a 5-year period. Because we may run into a circumstance where we're going to tell someone, no, you can't do that land division. It's going to require a plat because they've now triggered a 6th division within that 5-year period. So that's why in the Plan Commission recommendations, you had wanted us to put on the CSM notice the development rights remaining, and Amy and I will have to work on that so that it's buyer beware. I'm not so much worried about the west side. It's going to be a bigger issue on the east side because the east side, those lots are 20 acres. You may likely find someone is going to buy each one of those lots and then try to rezone it and further divide it into a smaller subdivision with a cul-de-sac.
Do they have to rezone?
They would, because right now they're at the minimum lot size for A1, 20 acres.
So on either side, since those are 2 separate CSMs, the most amount of acreage without a plat right, or the most amount of lots without a plat on the, so you could split 1 lot into 2, and then on the opposite side, you could split 1 lot into 3 lots, 4 lots.
So on the west side, lot 1 or lot 2 could each be divided 1 more time. So you'd have 4 lots and the outlot would be 5 in the 5-year period. On the east side, 1, 2 of those 3 lots could be further divided once again.
Okay.
But I think where Attorney Macy had mentioned is that what makes it difficult is it's first come, first served.
Right.
So someone could try to use up all of those development rights, and then the next person that comes along wants to do a simple division, all of a sudden has to do a plat,
Understood.
Or wait to 5 years?
or wait to 5 years.
Now, you understand why, the history of this? And this
Well, that's my next question, so thank you very much.
I didn't even jump the gun.
Not at all.
People would do subdivisions they would divide it in half, and then sell one to their mother and sell one to their father, and then their mother would divide it in half, and the father would divide it in half, and then they would continue to do that and never do the plat, and never go through the review process, never have a developer's agreement, never build the roads properly, and it was a stunt that was done, and then people figured out that's not good. We want to look at the total picture, the whole lay of the land, not to have these subsequent divisions. So we found a reasonable compromise. You can do 5 in 5 years. If you want to do more than 5, you have to wait more than 5 years. And we always look back to the mother parcel. The ownership doesn't matter. So you look at what was the parcel 5 years ago, how many splits have been done, not to and it's to avoid abuse.
And a plat is what triggers the overall planning of a subdivision.
Yeah. State review, it used to be stormwater wasn't done on a lot of CSMs now.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Well, thank you.
Tightened up as even CSM, so it's not probably as significant as it was 10, 20 years ago, but it's still an issue. Somebody takes the frontage of their road and they just start dividing off and they don't plan for how you're gonna get back to the back. We saw that happen many times on farms. You can look at you probably find places where they do that.
Right.
Let's try to avoid that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to,
You got a motion and a second.
I'm sorry. Write them down. Any further questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to B. Owner is Fred Lathers LLC, 789 North Water Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202. Location is part of the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 29 and part of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 32, Town 6 North, Range 19 East, Town of Waukesha. More specifically, the properties are located on the west side, County Highway I, in south of Foxvale Court. Tax key numbers are WAKT 1411.996001, WAKT 1421.998004. And the recommendation from the Plan Commission was to approve the CSM. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we approve the CSM as the Plan Commission recommends.
And a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to C, the CSM for Fred Lathers LLC, 789 North Water Street, Milwaukee, 53202. Location is part of the southwest quarter and the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 29, the northwest quarter and the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 32, and the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 31, all in the Town 6 North, Range 19 East, Town of Waukesha. More specifically, the properties are located on the east side of Highway County I and south of Foxvale Court. Tax key numbers are WAKT 1411.996001 and part of WAKT 1421.998004. And the recommendation from the Plan Commission was to accept the CSM and approve. Is there a motion?
And I'll make a motion to do so.
And second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to D, ordinance 2016-8, section 13-2-4, sub H, exterior site usage, sub 1, outside storage of material and equipment. Recommendation from the Plan Commission was to send it back to staff for further work.
I'll make a motion to accept that recommendation.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to E, ordinance 2016-9, section 13-2-2, specific words and phrases, section 3-2-8, sub F, general use regulations, and section 13-2-9, sub I, sub 8, conditional uses, and section 13-2-13, off-street parking, commercial vehicle trailer. Recommendation from the Plan Commission was to send it back to staff for further review. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we send it back.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 2016-10, section 13-2-10, sub D, sub 7, request for waiver or modification of accessory buildings. Plan Commission's recommendation was to accept that with some minor modifications, if I recall correctly. Rather arduous process.
I move that we accept the recommendation from the Planning Commission with their conditions.
In a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to G, site plan of operation for Power Products Plus LLC. The responsible party was Aaron Mays. Location is West 246, South 3255 Industrial Lane. The recommendation from the Plan Commission was to approve. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan of operations for Power Products Plus.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to H, accessory building. The petitioner was Scott Seeger. Location is West 251, South 5090 Cartwright Circle. Tax key is WAKT 1405.999.009. The recommendation from the Plan Commission was to approve. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to I, accessory building for Dale and Mary Graves. Location is West 279, South 3382 Town Line Road. The tax key is WAKT 1366-995-001. Recommendation from the Plan Commission was for approval. Is there a motion?
I move we accept the recommendation of the town board, or plan commission. See, I got it going.
And a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 8, discussion and possible action on the following 2016 road paving awards. Engineer Janelli.
Before you, you should have my July 7th, 2016 letter in which we detail the bids for the road program. I'll just kind of read it. We opened bids on Thursday, June 23rd at 10 a.m. There's a bid tabulation attached. There are 3 bidders. We reviewed the documentation submitted by the apparent low bidder and found that the bid form was appropriately completed. We have no objections to the low bidder, and the low bidder has successfully completed similar projects over the last several years. We do understand the total bid exceeds the town budget. We have conferred with Supervisor. Is that even true? That's not even true, is it?
I'm sorry, what was it?
That first sentence, we understand that the total project bid exceeds the town budget.
No, it does not.
That is not true. We have conferred with Supervisor Durr and understand that the town has evaluated the streets versus the bid prices, resulting in awarding bid items 1 to 14, 29 to 50, and 57 to 63, which will improve Anoka Avenue, Beheim Road from Coppersmith Square to the west end, Lonsdale Court, Lincoln Avenue, Lookout Drive, and the roads within the Whitehall subdivision. On these bases, we recommend that Wolf Paving be awarded the 2016 road program contract in the amount of $350,130.95. This amount is based on the above mentioned bid items and their estimated bid unit prices and estimated quantities. Actual quantities and therefore the final contract price may vary. On all construction projects, and especially complex ones like this, unpredictable factors may increase the final contract amount. For this reason, we recommend that the town include a 10% contingency when preparing a financial plan for this work. Our review did not include an evaluation of the bidder's current financial condition nor their permanent safety program. Should you decide to accept our recommendation, we have prepared the enclosed notice of award for your use. Please have the appropriate official sign and indicate and forward all 3 signed copies of the notice of award to our office. And that's when we'll date it and get the contracts going and move it on. So with that, bids remain subject to acceptance until August 22nd, unless the bidder agrees to an extension. The next page is our notice of award to Wolf Paving in that amount, $350,000 and change, for the bid items specified to improve Anoka, Beheim, Lonsdale, Lincoln, Lookout, and the Whitehall subdivision.
Thank you. You're welcome. Supervisor Dorr, you're deeply involved in this. Do you have any comments?
I'd make a motion that we accept the 2016 road paving program as outlined by Engineer Giovanelli.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Question, just a real quick one of Engineer Janelli. Did we require a performance bond be posted by the contractor or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to B, appointment of a Board of Appeals member to complete Robert Stigler's term ending in April 30, 2019.
Just before we leave the road paving issue, if I may, it's really been a pleasure with the board the last couple of years and the focus that we've had on improving the roads. And this year, we're doing a little bit over $500,000 in road improvements between the slagging and the crack filling and the paving. And last year, we did a substantial amount. And I think as a board, we should really be proud that a community this size, with the limited funds that we get from state aid, is putting that kind of money into the road program. So it's really moving in the right direction. And I think as we move into the capital budget for 2017 to 2021, you're going to see how that's going to pay off in future years.
Thank you. And your work on that is appreciated. Put a lot of time and effort into it. Okay, appointment of Board of Appeals member to complete Robert Stigler's term ending April 30th, 2019. If it's okay with the balance of the board, I'd like to table this to the next meeting of the board. There's a
Make a motion to table.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C, confirmation of the chairman's appointment for Board of Appeals. Again, if we could. Do we need action on there? Can we just, can it be tabled or no action?
That's just confirmation, and since we've already tabled it, we can't confirm.
We'll move on. Move on to D, Town Hall and Fire Department purchase and installation of generator. You should have bids in front of you from no. We have three proposals, one from Walter Power Systems, one from Current Electric, and one from Roman Electric.
Mr. Chairman, while everybody's looking at this just to move things along, I won't be able to support this tonight for a couple of reasons. And thank you to everybody who went to the time and effort to put these proposals together. But I mean, we're looking somewhere around $50,000. We don't, at this point in time, have a plan, at least as far as I know, to pay for that. I don't really think that's agendized that way. And my biggest concern are twofold. One is we've not yet had a discussion as to the scope of what we're trying to accomplish with this. And these are not comparable proposals. We've got some people bidding an 80 kW generator and some people 100 kW generator. I think if we're serious about this, we need to decide, and that may in part be dependent upon if we proceed to do something with this building or other buildings here. We've talked about living quarters for the fire department. I mean, that's in a preliminary discussion, but we have to really think through whether we're serious about that, what the loads are going to be. I understand there may be some urgency in terms of being able to operate overhead doors in the fire department. I think we need to take a look at that, but a $50,000 expenditure, I think, needs to have specifications for it, and I think it needs to be competitively bid. So again, appreciate the effort everybody put to that, but I can't get behind this tonight.
Specifications, who would you suggest rate those specs?
My suggestion would be, and they looked at this preliminarily a couple of years ago, there's a company by the name of XL Engineering in Fond du Lac. I think they largely did most of that work. Was pretty much already done. They'd previously been retained by the town to do it. They're an independent engineering consultant. We could certainly blow the dust back off of that, but I think with this kind of an expenditure, I think we're duty bound to solicit competitive quotations.
Well, I think we did with the three bids that you have. Are you talking about you're talking about bidding off of a spec?
Yes.
Because again, these are not comparable proposals even. I mean, we've got 80 kW one place and 100 kW another place, so they're not comparable. I mean, with the amount of money that's involved, I think we're obliged to basically have a specification so people are getting comparable things.
Other comments?
Well, I would have to agree with Supervisor Fisher. I mean, first we got to figure out what it is we want. They're going anywhere from $19,800 up to $75,000. So I think as a board, we have to decide what is it that we want it to do before we can award this to anybody.
Well, that is a good question. Do you want it to power just the fire department, or do you want it to power the entire town hall?
That's the question.
I mean, just a suggestion, again, if it's the pleasure of the majority of the board to move ahead, so be it. But if it isn't, I mean, I would be pleased to resurrect, because the town did spend money for that professional consultation stuff. I'd be happy to simply blow the dust off of that or resurrect that. Wouldn't be an expenditure of money, but I mean, we could bring that back either to workshop or the next meeting, at least to make the information available of the legwork that's already been done on that. So that's an offer.
I think that's an excellent recommendation.
Well, I agree, but we still need to decide what do we want to power.
You're right. I don't think any of us have decided that yet. But I think it's a good start that we're seeing the power of the doors alone is going to cost 20 grand. If you want it to do everything, you're going to pay 75,000. And if you want it to just do parts of that, it's going to cost you a little less. So that's the, I guess, dilemma that we face. I don't know if we're prepared to answer that tonight.
I'm running on memory, which again is a bit hazardous, but I'll tell you when this was looked at a number of years ago, one of the issues, and this gets pretty technically involved and pretty deep, but one of the things that was looked at was the consolidation of, we have multiple services in here, consolidation of some of those services, and I'm representing to you that was part of what was looked at. I don't know whether that's appropriate or necessary or makes sense or not, but I just think we need to circle back to that. We can do that as quickly as you would like, but there's a body of information that's already there, was bought by the town, was paid for, and I think maybe we ought to double back to that.
So just to be clear, just to back up a little bit, they have a spec written for a bid spec?
I'm not necessarily going to say it is a specification per se, but it was basically field reconnaissance or survey of what we've got. It was recommendation of what some alternatives could be going forward. I think we still need to look at the issue of whether we want to try to put the entirety of the building and every part of the building on it, or just pieces of it, or what or not. But it was an independent electrical engineer. I actually introduced the town to them because I worked with them before. They're not a contractor, independent electrical engineer, but they basically put together some recommendations and evaluation of what we've got.
Would you then perhaps get together with one other person and be able to write a spec off the information that they have?
I think they could, or we might be close to the way of being there. I mean, my suggestion, first step is to get that information. I don't know that I have that personally, but it's either resident here at the town hall or they've got it at Excel Engineering, but simply to go back and get that work product and see what it is and see what it means.
Okay.
Again, I'm not trying to take people's someplace they don't want to go, but I mean, if you want to put that on the agenda for next meeting, I would think that that information could be available by then.
Well, that's a good question. The clerk is asking, do you want to set up a workshop to discuss this and figure out where exactly we want to go? Do we want to go to the whole building, or do we want to go to just the fire department? Do you want to do just the doors? What,
I guess
do you
that's
want to figure out where we want to go
that's an
first?
awful good question. That's I think pleasure of the board. I mean, we could do that as a workshop and simply have that document. That's probably a good idea. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I think we're already meeting early on the 28th, aren't we?
Yes, for budget.
Yeah, I'd rather not push this out much farther.
Well, might I make a suggestion?
Please.
I thought I heard Supervisor Fisher volunteer to lead this effort. Is that right?
Yes.
So I don't know that we need a workshop. Well,
Yes, yes.
here's where I was going is if Supervisor Fisher would like to work with one other supervisor and for sure the fire chief, since this mostly is to address fire needs, I'm perfectly satisfied to entertain his recommendation at the next meeting.
Did you volunteer?
No.
No.
You can just call somebody and confer with them.
Just call. Just a minute, let me turn my phone off.
Well, Supervisor Wolf has a lot of experience in construction and so forth. Maybe that would be appropriate.
Why don't you try to call him?
Please don't tell me who you're gonna call. You're creating a committee.
Exactly. Let's quit talking about
We're
it
just
and
making
move on.
suggestions. We're moving on. Yes,
Yes, I make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, approve or deny the Big Bend Municipal Court to issue warrants with the understanding that if any jail or medical costs incurred for these citations, it's the responsibility of the town for those charges. So the way this has been explained is that if the municipal court and previously the North Prairie Court did not issue warrants for this very reason. If we issue a warrant and the sheriff goes out and picks up somebody on our behalf and they have a heart attack, and the sheriff or an ambulance takes him to Waukesha Memorial Hospital and he needs a heart surgery, we pay, the town pays. So it'd probably be in our best interest to not issue warrants. Did I state that correctly?
That's correct, but I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. Plus, the other side of it is for warrants, the cost to house someone in the jail is approximately $50 a day, and you're required to pay it, and you can't make the defendant pay it if they're in the jail, they can't pay it. So you end up paying to have somebody enforce and pay their penalty. And most communities find that not to be what they budgeted their monies for, how they want to pay their taxpayer money. So even if they don't have the heart attack and die and you have to pay for open heart surgery, you still have a cost of housing them for approximately $50 a day.
So I make a motion to deny the Big Bend Municipal Joint Court to issue warrants on our behalf.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to F, sign request. Responsible party is Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Location is South 17, West 22650 Lincoln Avenue. Tax key is WAKT 12989860001. Thank you for being patient with us.
Wow. That's commitment.
There's,
Sure, come on up.
No, we aren't gonna allow you to.
This is John Michelle with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. After all this time, you have to stay seated. Enterprise is remodeling their facility on Lincoln Avenue and is looking to put a new sign in. John, if you want to say it.
Yeah, so we received plan commission approval maybe 2-3 months ago to open a car sales facility. And basically, we finally got our sign specifications, and we're just requesting approval to approve the sign plan that you hopefully have in front of you.
Planner Roy Barczyk, any comments?
Yeah, there we go.
Is there a motion to approve the sign request for Enterprise Rent-A-Car?
I move to approve your motion.
In a second,
I'll second
any
With-
discussion
With the conditions.
with the
with the
conditions
conditions.
Yeah.
as put forth by the planner?
And the packet that was
Just
handed out short,
same.
it's the same, okay.
I didn't see the conditions. Is that?
Condition 1 is that you meet the requirements of the sign ordinance. Condition 2 is that you bill them per your application. Condition 3 is you get a permit, and condition 4 is you pay your bills.
I think we can handle that.
We always figure out a condition, otherwise he wouldn't be worth what we're paying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to operator's license for Meyer and Erickson.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the operator license for both Meyer and Erickson.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to accounts payable, authorized payment of the Rupert Milky Bill in the amount of $3,757.08.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
And B, authorized payment of the remaining bills in the amount of $81,202.17.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, adjournment.
So moved.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.